Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is independently produced programming. The views and opinions expressed are those of the producers and do not reflect the views and opinions of Falls Area Community Television, our staff, or board of directors.
Secrets in the shadows, lost and found. Truth in every echo, loud and clear. Keep on with the long road, no more fear. In the halls of power, whispers grow. Every secret got beneath the undertone. Honest stories hidden in the glass. On this long road, in the truth we judge.
Welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Chris Roberts. I'm glad to be back. I had to miss last week getting all these windows replaced in my house to keep my wife happy. But over the last week, I've been, with all the stuff that's going on in the country and people getting fired, people trying to track down, people trying to define what is hate speech. They're just going all over the place. And then I was starting to look at it. It was, you know what? The government is playing us. And in some cases, it plays us against each other. And saying, I would like to be able to give you this benefit, but I can't. The Democrats will say, well, the Republicans are all they're worrying about is the rich and the big corporations. Well, at the same time, a lot of Democrats live in big McMansion-sized houses. They own stock in a lot of these big corporations, and they're making money while they are in the Congress. The Republicans are going, yes, we would like to give you this stuff, but the Democrats, those liberal, those socialists, people in the big cities, they're preventing me from doing it. They're bringing all these illegals in. Illegals who are taking your jobs away. Illegals who are taking money out of the tax rolls. But at the same time, there's a lot of companies down in red states that have no problem hiring illegals to maximize their profits. So they go back and forth, back and forth. Okay? But both sides are playing. It's kind of like a dance going back and forth. And we're the spectators and we're watching. A big group over here is believing everything the Democrats are saying, everything good about the Democrats, and believing everything that's stated about the Republicans. Same way the Republicans are looking at the Democrats, socialists, liberals, all this stuff, DEI, bingo. Goes back and forth, back and forth. And in the meantime, as the dance is going around, then you got a Republican going to the Democrats. Hey, let's keep this dance going, and then we can go meet at the barbecue and having a few beers later on as these people suffer. Okay? People do not go to Congress or the Senate to stay poor or to ensure they don't get rich. And if you're going to Congress, you might get some inside trading on important bills that you can make good stock purchases, or you can sell here and there. Both Democrats, Republicans. They make a lot of money because, There's no inside trading in Congress. A lot of things that either side does would get us in jail. But hey, but you know what? They are really good at shifting the blame. Well, not really shifting the blame, but to allow us to question, oh, that's my congressman, that's my senator, that's my congresswoman. They can't be doing anything wrong because they're mine. Only the other side people can be doing things wrong. And who suffers? Us. And as I was going in, I was a history major in college. Then I went back and got a degree in social science. And I like to study a lot. I like to do research a lot. We talk about America, the land of opportunity. We talk about every year at graduation, the superintendent or the speaker, commencement speaker, will tell the students, you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it, if you work hard enough. And they know that is totally BS, because there are a lot of students who are going to graduate and are going to work their butt off and will be more qualified than others, but will never get the opportunity to show what they're capable of. Why? The system is rigged. Second is, if they don't get the opportunity, excuse me, there's plenty of people willing to say, you know what? You did not succeed because you didn't work hard enough. You didn't want it hard enough. And it's no different. We want to be individualists. We want to be able to succeed. We all have the capability to succeed. But wait a minute. Do any of us have our own definition of what we think is success? No. Parents, teachers, movies, politicians, they go all and say is, no, you cannot define your own success. We must define your own success. Oh, what? Look at all the leadership books put out every year. But you know what? We're hurting for leaders. Look at all the weight loss books that are putting out every year. Oh, we're one of the most obese countries in the world. Okay. What about all the religious books that are put out each year? Love thy neighbor, treat thy neighbor as you like to be treated. Well, I can't love my neighbor and I can't treat my neighbor like myself if they do not look like myself or believe like myself. You know, if you're transgender, you can't be a good person. You know, if you are Muslim, oh, you're a terrorist. Oh, you're black. Oh, yeah, you're a crackhead. You do this, you're a pimp. So we create this cocoon that as long as everybody who looks like us, anybody who looks like us can fit in the cocoon, and everybody out who doesn't look like us, we provide negative computations to. So we can go to any single bookstore or Amazon or whatever, and people are doing their best to make money telling us how inadequate we are and how they have the answer. Oop. Well, I just noticed this and walking around town in some of these places that have physical fitness and training and everything. And I know that, wow, there's new exercises that are in vogue. How long is they going to be in vogue? For maybe 6-9 months before something else comes in? Oh, hey, for $39, $49, I can have you lose 20, 30 pounds. I heard an ad on the radio that says, hey, I paid $49 and I lost 20 pounds in 2 months. 20 pounds in 2 months. You know what that is? If there's 3,500 calories to a pound, that's 70,000 calories. So that means you're consuming 1,400. You have to consume 1,400 calories less than your basic requirement every single day for 2 months. And you know what? Your body adjusts. If your body is not getting the calories, your body starts shutting down to save. Been smoking for 14 years? Come to my 1-hour seminar and you'll be stopped smoking. Oh, you really don't know what's going on? Come and get your cards read, get your palms read, and we'll give you the answer so you can have a much better life. Okay? Everybody has an answer for us. Well, but you know what? You know what the biggest con artist is? Who the biggest con artist is? It's our federal government. I don't care who you're talking about, whether it's Democrat or Republicans, we're the mark. Okay? Give you an example. Okay, Keene has an election coming up. Okay, Keene will be lucky if they get 10% of the voters show up. So, if there's a ward, and the ward has 3,000 voters, 10% of the voters show up. So, that's 300 voters. Okay, so if no one leaves it blank, if no one writes in, that means if I'm running in that ward, I need 151 votes. 151 votes. If 95% of the people don't like me and they don't show up or don't vote for me, the 5% plus 1 that show up and vote for me gets me elected. Okay, so first thing is, I don't have to give a damn about the other 90% who are not showing up. I just have to convince 50 plus 1% of the 300 people that are going to show up to vote. So that's 151 people. People running for Congress, people running for the Senate do the same thing. If Donald Trump or Joe Biden say, well, I got I was elected president because the majority of the Americans wanted me. No, they're lying. Because a great portion of Americans were so sick of each one of yous that they choose not to vote. And in our system, not to vote doesn't count. Because you can go, you know what? I don't trust Donald Trump's morals or ethics. I can't vote for him. Oh man. Kamala Harris. I don't like her word salad, and she doesn't seem to want to stick out and be in the forefront, and she just tries to go here, and then she picks Tim Walz, who is not really truthful about his time, quote unquote, in the Gulf when he wasn't in the Gulf. And so I think I have to question her leadership ability based on who she picked for her vice president nominee. And I'm going, and I, all in good conscience, can't vote for Harris. So I go in and stay at home and don't vote. Okay? So just think, 3 people vote. 1 votes for Trump, 1 votes for Harris, and 1 votes for neither above. That means neither Harris or Trump was able to get the majority of the voters, the registered voters, to vote for either one of them. Okay? So, hey, Trump can go or Harris can go, hey, I only need 35% of the registered voters in the United States to vote for me to get elected. And if I do that, and then I can convince as many of the people that don't like me to stay home and not vote, that means each one who is not voting for Harris is really like a vote for me. So, what does the government do? To get elected, you have to appease the people that are paying to elect you. Okay? If I'm going to put $100,000 to your campaign, or I'm going to do this, I expect stuff in return. Hey, I'm going to do this, so I expect to be on the stage behind you when you give your inauguration speech. Or I expect a tax break, or I expect this. Okay? Because people do not donate big amount of money for nothing. I'm not going to give Trump $1 million because I like the guy. I'm not going to give Trump $1 million because I hate Harris. I'm going to give Trump $1 million because I expect something in return. I make money on every single one of my investments. So if I'm investing $1 million in Trump, I wanted it to return me 2, 3, 4 over. Plain and simple. Okay. Now, this may be surprising, and some people may have qualms about it. But you can see it in Donald Trump with the Department of Education. Okay, and people are going, oh yeah, he's dismantling the Department of Education. That is really good for our education system. Is it good? Is it bad? It all depends. It depends what you expect out of our education system And what our education system actually does, is our education system failing, or is our education system working the way it's supposed to? I will say that our education system, it's working the way it was designed to. It took me a while to have to come to accept this, and it really sucks to have to, because so many kids were robbed of this opportunity. So many parents had really a lot of faith in their school systems. Hey, I'm not saying all school systems are bad. There are some good school systems. There are people in the community. There are people on school boards that really want a quality education. But there's an awful lot of school districts around the country hey, if we can get Johnny and Mary and Susie and Dan from K to 12 without causing trouble, and maybe getting us a winning football team or basketball team, hey, we're happy. And if we can keep the cost down, we're even happier. If you go down and research our education system, back to Rockefeller and those other ones, our education system was never meant to educate the majority of our students that go to school. Up until World War II, the vast majority of kids never graduated from high school. It was never designed for them to go to high school. You were hard pressed if you had a 6th grade education. If you could perform at a 6th grade level, you were pretty good. Okay? You were above norm. Okay? It was the GI Bill that messed everything up for American business. Because educated children cost more. They demand better working conditions. They demand better benefits. They question. And so, after we did the GI Bill, we educated a lot of people, and they did their best to get rid of the GI Bill quick. Then they went to Korea. GI Bill wasn't really that great, but it was out there. Then they went to Vietnam and they brought the GI Bill back. And when the Vietnam War was over with, they did away with the GI Bill. And oh yeah, donate put in $1,200 a month, and we can give you the Montgomery GI Bill and stuff like that. We'll give you $4,800, or we'll give you 3-to-1, things like that. That was really nothing, because American businesses did not want an educated workforce. One, it's cheaper to bring an educated workforce from India or Pakistan or Ukraine or different other countries, Ireland, because that's what we do to maximize profit. And look what's happened. Well, when you look at the stats and all that kind of stuff, our education, our performance level has not improved in 50 years. Basically, we cannot produce children across the country at the 1973 level. Why? Because the system is not designed for that. Okay, last year, the United States spent $857 billion on on K through 12 education, which comes out to about $17,700 per student. Guess what? The federal government paid less than 14% of that amount. The vast majority of that money came from local property taxes. Okay. Last year in science, the kneecap test, 12th grade kids who took the exam, only 31% were proficient in science. 31%. If you're not proficient, there's no way you should be in college. Math. Only 22% of high school seniors were proficient in math. That means 78% of the high school graduates from last year should not have gone to college. Reading. Only 35% of high school graduates could read at the proficient level. So only 35% of high school graduates could read at a 12th grade level. How in the hell do you expect them to read at a college level? Okay. 8th graders. 33% of the 8th graders, 1 out of every 3 8th grader, could not read at basic level. To think, 1 out of every 3. So if you go into the class at the middle school and see 30 kids in there, 10 of them, on average, could not read at the basic level. Okay, what is the basic level? You need to be able to read a page and put the right things in order. You're supposed to be able to read a page and look at some character traits. Oh, George Washington. Yes, he's forceful. He's ethical. You know, can't do that. And 33% of them can't even tell you what they read. They can't put it together. And just think, if we base it on an average, we're paying almost $18,000 to get a kid up if you want the people to get proficient. So if you pay 17, round it off, say you pay $225,000. 17, yeah. About $225,000 to educate a kid, and 65% can't read at a proficient level. They can read People magazine with trouble. They can read maybe the National Enquirer and some of those Women Daily, all those. But don't ask them to do any critical thinking. Do not ask him to apply what's the intent. Hey, in college, you know what? The average college cost is $30,227. That's a lot. But you know what? Less than 30% or about $9,500 of that $30,000 goes to educating the students. So if you go to college for 4 years, so you pay $40,000 to get educated, and you pay $80,000 to overhead. Well, guess what? If you go to the average community college, yeah, you know, you got a bunch of stuff you do not get at community college that you would at regular college. But compared to that $30,000 for the same educational type value, a community college costs less than 15% of the a regular 4-year college. Well, now people may jump. That's the reason why we need to give voucher programs, or that's why we need to create religious schools, or that's why we need to this type and that type. You always have to ask yourself, what is it in for them? You can get some charter schools who really say, for example, we're going to teach our kids a demanding classical curriculum. It's going to be hard. It's going to be demanding. And you know what? We're not going to give no feather grades. You're going to do hard work. And if you're average, you're going to get a C. Okay? You can be in our school and understand a C in our school can easily be the equivalent of an A plus in that school. We're not going to do any grade inflation. These schools, they do grade inflation, whether it's public schools or colleges or whatever, because they want to keep the student happy and they want to keep the parents happy. Well, if you're a strong enough parent to go, hey, you can come to our school, but this is what we're demanding from the school, from your student. And this is C work, this is B work, this is A work. This is what they have to do, and here's our standards up front. If you can do that, you can accept it. Your son or daughter can accept the responsibility and be accountable. Bingo. But you know what? Those schools are going to be far and few in between, because you only have so many good administrators and you only have so many good teachers. Okay, so now, hey, you went through this school and it was really easy. You got a free education. Did you get a free education, or did you get class time? Oh, you went to college. Did you get an education, or did you get seat time? Do not confuse sitting in a seat as education. You can say, wow, this was free, but you gave up your time. Hey, you could have been sitting there. You could have been online, going to the Library of Congress, a whole bunch of stuff you could be learning. But that was free. That free education, what did it get you? Holy crap. Wait a minute, I had the free public education, then I went to a public college, or I went to a really good, expensive college, and I can get a job working at Kohl's. Wait a minute. Look at how many people who are college educated working at jobs that don't need a college diploma. Okay? So now the government has a problem. What are we going to do? We cannot have all these frustrated people around. Okay, what are we going to do? We have to do something to keep the people happy. Okay? We'll build housing projects. We'll give very low rent. Okay? But you know, hey, we got these guys who having kids, don't want to pay child support. But hey, you know what? Now we'll let these dads live with their kids because they're kids. Now, the guy isn't getting a job, doesn't have responsibility, so now we'll give food stamps. We'll give electrical, we'll give utilities, we'll give heating, we'll give some clothing. So we'll do all this kind of stuff. Hey, this is really good. I have a place to live, I can have sex, and I don't have to take care of any of my kids. Thank you, Uncle Sam. Well, hey, Uncle Sam, where do you get that money from? Don't worry about it, we'll come up. So Uncle Sam goes, hey, no big deal. So Uncle Sam says, well, we'll have these food stamps and the American people will buy food. Okay, we will then have a big farm bill so these farmers can keep growing food. They can ship some overseas, but we can use them for people to use their food stamps and use their WIC. They can buy milk. We can keep the cost of milk down. We can do crap food, corn syrup, all this, all free stuff. That's really good. Well, the free stuff means, oh, that ain't good food. Now Americans have some of the big obesity. Americans have diabetes. Americans have high blood pressure. Okay, now we have less and less people working because, you know, if you work, we have it at the school and it's like, oh, lady goes, I have to keep track of everything because if I make an extra $100, my kids lose their free and reduced lunch. So I work enough so I don't lose this. Okay? So America's giving food stamps. Food stamps can be used at Cumberland Farms or the corner store, help paying them, but the American government isn't raising taxes to pay for the school for the food stamps, but then the American government is borrowing money to pay to the farmers, and now Mr. President puts tariffs, and guess what? No one is buying soybeans or American corn. So the farmers who have been living on this extra money from selling their products overseas and crop support, holy crap, Uncle Sam is going to have to pay us more crop support, else we're going bankrupt. But it's like, and oh yeah, in the big beautiful bill, it's cutting down the amount of people that will be on food stamps. Okay, if the less people on food stamps, there's less to buy from American farmers, so American farmers are going to need more money. Okay. Then we go in and say, well, you know, places like McDonald's and Walmart and stuff like that, you know, they want to make sure people don't work too many hours. because we don't want them to get on, have to pay them health care and stuff. Even thought our health care is real crappy, we still don't want them to do it. You see the woman in the yellow, usually the woman in the little yellow vest with a thing, shut down right now. One person's going to take you right in the middle of the order because we got to make sure you don't go over. Holy crap! Now people who are working 31.9 hours can't get health care. So they go, hey, and doctors and hospitals and stuff, hey, yeah, this is an easy way to make extra money. Let's go in and increase Medicaid so people can get on Medicaid. And even though we do not get as much money, but it's still, you know what? If I see someone for 15 minutes, bang, 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 or I can double, triple, add a whole bunch of these tests on to make up the difference, hey, no big deal. Well, there's 8 million people in the United States that are on Social Security disability. So after 2 years, you can get Medicare and Social Security disability. Well, there's 65 million people on Medicaid. And a lot of people on Medicaid are working full time and cannot afford health care. Think of it. So we take it. So 55 million people are on Medicaid and their parents are working but they can't afford health care for their children. And that's not counting the 37 million people that have no health insurance. Okay, and like I said earlier, 42 million people on food stamps. So, quote, food stamps are free, but we have to pay the farmer money to grow it and to subsidize the price. Or pay the dairy. Why is milk $6 a gallon in Canada and you could sometimes get it for $2 a gallon in the United States? It's subsidized through the government. Okay? 65 million people on Medicaid. That is a lot of money. And where does that money come from? Where does the money for Medicaid come from? I don't know people paying into Medicaid. I know people paying into Medicare. And you know what? Medicare, we go, oh yeah, Medicare, I paid in. No. At 1.65% for 40 years, you're paying less than $50,000 and you can have one serious incident and then that cost will be more than you ever put in. Congress doesn't want to upset anybody, so hey, we're not going to increase it, but you know what? We'll just keep paying. And so, and Congress has set it up. See, here's the catch. 60.4% of households in the United States pay taxes. 36.9% do not pay any individual taxes. Okay? Yes, they may pay Social Security. And Social Security is not a tax. Social Security is a retirement fund. It is not a tax. your 1 point something, 1.65 that you pay in Medicare is not a tax. It's health insurance. Again, bingo, at 7%, you're not paying that much money into the system. It's most of the households with 40 to 50 who make 40 to 50 thousand a year, almost 2 out of 5 do not pay a single penny in federal income tax. Why? Because they don't make enough money. And how it goes, hey, 54% of all the money that federal government collects for taxes comes from individual income tax. Another 30% is what they call the payroll tax, which is not a tax. So basically, working Americans pay 84% of the money into the federal budget. You know, corporations that are worth trillions and trillions, some of them are $2, $3, and $4 trillion companies, other ones more. They only pay 9% of all the income tax. All the taxes into the federal budget last year. And so, instead of them paying more money to the federal government to help fund things like healthcare and stuff, they're paying less and less. And we are getting less and less from them. How can things that are worth trillions of dollars pay so little in? So just think of it. For every dollar a corporation pays to the federal government, American workers pay about $9.30. Just think of it. $1, $9.30. And when you look at Musk and Cook and all these, shouldn't they be paying a heck of a lot more? And in a way, they've got it made out that they hardly have to pay any taxes because they've got really good accounting lawyers. So what happens is what we earn, we get very little based on what we earn. Our benefits are nowhere near like they were in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. For a lot of people, healthcare is gone, pensions are gone. You might be lucky if you got a 401. Wages hasn't gone up, really hasn't kept up with inflation since 1973. From the year 2000, the cost of housing has gone up 3 times. Price of cars has gone more than double, almost 2.5 times. You name it, everything is going up. Because they go, hey, you can have this, you can have this, you can have this. But every time we are convinced that we're getting a good deal or we're getting ready to buy something, or even worse, the government is helping us buy something, you are losing the opportunity to get something that you need. The government has helped us to create our wants and to fund our wants. And we're hurting. We as a society is hurting. And the research is going and they're looking at saying, you know, the economy isn't doing bad. The economy's numbers are looking really good. There's nowhere near as bad as they told us. Well, but when they talk about the economy, they talk about the whole bucket. How much money was spent and put in this bucket over the last 3 months? Hey, more money was put in the bucket in these 3 months than the 3 months before or the same 3 months a year earlier. But critically thinking, that isn't the question to ask. The bottom 80% of the people, hey, how much have you put in the bucket the last 3 months? Huh? Oh, the amount of money that the bottom 80% of Americans have put in the bucket is shrinking, shrinking, and shrinking. Because the top 20% of the people haven't really give up anything. Hey, they own stock. The price of stock is going through the roof. They own gold. They own crypto. They still have no problem. Hey, I'm going to buy this $120,000 car. I have no problem going on this fancy trip. I have no problem going in a nice house. Okay, so yes, the money is being the same, but more and more of that money is being spent by the top 20%. And so the government doesn't want us angry. The government's goal is to go and say, don't look at this. Look at this. Okay, the government can say, oh, the people can say, what about Epstein? There seems to be an awful lot of politicians from businessmen from both sides of the aisle that were on Epstein's magical island. No. Don't look at this. The economy is hurting. No. Don't look at this. Look at this transgender person. Look what's happening. Look at this transgender person winning the girls' track meet. Every time thing happens, they find a good way. Oh, yeah, hey, no problem at all. You don't have to pay any taxes on your tips. Oh, you know what that's? No. That means your boss is going to pay you less money. Hey, why should business people are going in and I'm going, no, I'm not going to a restaurant anymore and have to pay 22 or 25 or 30% tip. As the waitress stands, or the host stands right there with a magic machine, pick, and sign. I went to a local restaurant last week, and it was the crappiest food I've ever eaten. Oh, hamburg. Oh, the steak hamburger I give to my cats was a heck of a lot better quality than this. The chicken was out of a can. And oh yeah, and the lowest I put down there was 18 cents. I think it was 18, 25, and 30 for a tip. I go, oh, I'm never going back to that restaurant. Because the restaurant owner wants me to pay for his workers so he can put more profit in his pocket. No. His job is to give me a quality meal and pay his workers fairly. Over and over, the government likes to give us free benefits so we won't complain. Yep. And while we're getting free, we are being robbed of our ability to think. And not only are we getting robbed to our ability to think, they want to take away our ability to ask questions. And hey, going back to the education, when I gave you the numbers, like when I said only 22% of the kids who graduate from high school are really good at math, 35% really good at reading, science. You know what? That's not much different than 50, 60 years ago. You know why? Because our education system was set up to take care of the top 20%. That's why we had an education system that kids that were in the preparatory course, then you had people in business and you had people in tech. And they said, well, you know what? We can't track anybody anymore. So they got away from the track. And when they got rid from the track, they put everybody on one track. But the college prep kids stayed on that track, and everybody else was put on the same track. It's just like me being a 5-minute miler. And you're going saying, well, you know what, we can't keep Johnny down here. So Johnny only does a 9-minute mile, but we're going to put Johnny on Chris's 5-minute mile track, but we're not going to do anything to help Johnny catch up. And we wonder why Johnny is still falling below expectations. Because the free education that we're promising parents is free, but it's not delivering.